Chapter 2. The human ability to learn new skills and transform ourselves and our lives. We are not very good at swimming compared to fish. We're not adept at flying compared to birds. And we don't run or climb very fast compared to most other land animals on our planet. Whales can talk to each other over distances of thousands of kilometers without the aid of phones. Dolphins can see inside each other's bodies using their sonar vision. A bald eagle can spot a tiny mouse on the ground from over a kilometer away. Now, nearly every animal on our planet has some special ability. Often they're so unique and powerful that we can hardly imagine what it must be like if we had these abilities ourselves. Can we really imagine what it would be like to see in the night the way a bat does? Or how it would feel to fly the way a bird does? However, humans too have an ability that sets us apart from every other being on the planet. So what's our special thing? I believe that when examined carefully, we can even go so far as to conclude that our special thing is very likely the single source of nearly all significant human achievement. Just for a moment, let us consider the formula for creating fire at will, a skill attributed to Prometheus, who allegedly stole it from the gods and gave it to a man, starting our ascent to become equals with the gods. More likely, of course, it was just some dude, some man or woman who figured out the formula many thousands of years ago. Perhaps it even happened by accident. No one really knows, but just think of the impact it must have made. How that one new skill must have changed everything. Suddenly, one little human tribe among hundreds of others had light in the dark, warmth in winter. It must have been a bigger game changer for them then than the iPhone for us in its day. But fire is not what makes us special, because humans didn't stop there. After fire came a million other discoveries. The question we must ask is, what is the one power responsible for all of our advancements? If there's one human super skill, it is our extraordinary ability to learn. To be precise, our ability to 1. Observe other animals or processes in our environment, 2. Figure out the key parts to each trick, skill, and ability that we see using our minds, and then 3. Copy and adopt it and make it our own. Just to be clear, virtually all animals on our planet have the ability to learn. Scientists observe different species gaining new abilities all the time. Birds have been proven to learn and adopt new fishing strategies. Tigers and polar bears adopt new hunting strategies. Anybody who has ever owned and raised a pet cat or dog knows how these animals evolve over their lives. They learn new skills just like we do. So, learning new skills is by itself not a unique ability. YouTube proves there are at least a dozen domesticated animals that have somehow learned to use a human toilet. So a great many animals can learn things. However, the human ability for learning is factually far more advanced. There is still not a single other animal that is able to start a fire at will, while presumably we have been doing this for at least 10,000 years now, probably longer. Some animals can build and use rudimentary tools, but even these skills currently do not even remotely approach the learning ability of a 3-year-old human toddler. So what's the difference? Well, simply put, the amount of new abilities and skills that humans can learn, plus the speed at which we can pick them up, is much higher than in other animals. No one has been able so far to put any scientific numbers to the difference in learning ability, but the difference is likely similar to the difference in swimming ability between us and a dolphin, or our ability to see a mouse at a kilometer distance compared to that of an eagle. When it comes to learning, we humans are the undisputed most specialized being on the planet. We can honestly claim, without any boasting, that it is the one ability in which we truly stand out from every other being on the planet. We may say to fly like a bird, to see like an eagle, to swim like a fish, and to learn like a human. Human learning is an exceedingly special ability. No other animal can yet do it the way that we can. Essentially, our ability is so advanced, it enables us to gain or steal the skills of almost every other being around us. As a species, it has enabled us to pretty much dominate every other being in every way. We can now fly airplanes applying the principles we learned from birds. We can communicate over vast distances just like whales do, and we can see into our own bodies using infrared scanners, etc., just like dolphins do. Looking around us at nearly everything we humans can do, it usually started with some other animal evolving a special ability, showing us something could be done, stimulating our curiosity. Every day, scientists discover new abilities. We find them in other animals, in plants, and in odd and unusual places and crazy experiments. And every day we gain more understanding of them. Slowly, through science fiction stories and movies, research, productizing, and cultural adaptation, this new knowledge enters all of our lives in the different forms of new medicines, technologies, cultural trends, and finally we master them ourselves as new personal skills and abilities on the level of the individual. These willful transformations we keep going through as a species are the source of our greatest power as a group. For us as individuals, though, our personal ability to learn, to discover, analyze, experiment, refine, and then master almost anything we can observe is also the source of our greatest individual power. The power to transform ourselves at will into a brand new human with completely new abilities. When we realize this, it becomes very obvious that the key to realizing our highest personal potential is our ability to learn. Through personal evolution, each and every one of us can take our current life and change it literally into almost anything we want. To state it in the simplest way, whenever we as humans are somehow stuck in life, either in our jobs, our relationships, or our personal lives, whenever we are faced with some complex problem that we don't seem to be able to solve, the solution is essentially always the same. We need to learn a new skill or multiple new skills. And the way we solve problems is always the same too. First, we need to figure out which skill it is we need to learn. This is often harder than it sounds, yet once we finally figure out what skill it is we need, we find what information we can on it, and then we try. And we fail, we try again, we fail a little less, we analyze what we are doing wrong, and then we try again, and again, and again, and then usually, at some point, we succeed. Now, not only have we finally solved our problem, we have learned something. And in the future, if we ever face a similar situation again, we will be able to overcome it quickly or even prevent the problem from arising ever again. This is the power of human learning. As a group, we are amazing at learning. But if we're completely honest, on a personal level, some of us may not always make the best use of this greatest strength of ours. Now, don't get me wrong. Every one of us learns a ton over the course of our lives. We learn what we need in our younger years, walking, talking, making jokes, eating, how to take a shower every morning, how to find our way in a city, how to be kind to those around us, wooing a member of the opposite sex, etc. We pick up plenty more skills later in life too, and often we have to keep updating our knowledge bit by bit in our jobs. However, many of us do not, and this is key, actively keep searching out truly transformative skills and knowledge throughout our lives. As far as our abilities go, we tend to arrive and then stay in a sort of comfort zone. When we drastically change our lives, it's more often out of need than out of desire. We all get pushed into great transformations at various times during our lives. For example, when our life changes from being a young, free child playing all day at home, and then the day comes when we have to start going to school 5 days a week. And our life changes again when we go from living the life of a student for many years to then graduating and starting in our first full-time job. Now, it has been proven that humans react to negative stimuli 10 times stronger than positive ones, meaning that we tend to work 10 times harder to avoid pain or trouble than we work for something great that we really desire for ourselves. This also has its impact on how we learn over our lifetimes. We tend to learn and evolve more out of need than out of desire. Life is water, not stone. We all face serious challenges in our lives, and we all depend on our ability and our skill at learning whatever we need in the moment to get us through each day, week, month, and year of our life. If we stand back for a second and just reflect on all of the challenges that we have faced together as a species, all the great problems we've solved, how much we've helped each other out, the beautiful stories and epic milestones we've achieved together. It's amazing. The things we take for granted today are the most unimaginable epic dreams of generations past. The technology and skills that we have today were literally beyond people's dreams less than 50 years ago. As a species, we have made a great leap forward. For us on a personal level, there's also a great leap we can make when we take this greatest strength of ours and start to use it more consciously to keep transforming our own lives. Not out of need, fear, or to avoid trouble, but out of the desire to simply improve our lives and the lives of those we love. I believe it's time we take a next step. It's time to supercharge our learning ability and unlock even more of our great potential together. This book is about using our most amazing ability more consciously and more frequently, breaking the barriers that hold us back in life. I like to call the set of techniques and mindsets laid out in this book the tools of extreme learning, as they consciously supercharge our natural learning abilities to achieve extreme learning results. And once you unlock your own extreme learning ability, you may find your life starts to transform in ways you would not have imagined possible. The skill of extreme learning may provide you with new opportunities all around, it can bring you to new places, it may introduce you to awesome new people, and it's very likely you will see your joy and wealth increase simultaneously. Chapter 3. How do we get smarter? Isn't it an amazingly tricky question to answer? How does any person get smarter? Some may answer by going to school. Another may say by reading books. Yet another may suggest if you solve a lot of crossword puzzles, that's set to stimulate your brain activity. Now, in some sense, all of these answers are true. Yet, at the same time, they all miss the point entirely. Why does a school make you smarter? Why does reading books make you smarter? Why can puzzles stimulate your brain activity? How come some people who attend school don't seem to get smarter while others make remarkable improvements in the same school? Do all books make you smarter? If you make the same puzzle every day, does that make you smarter? The subject of learning and getting smarter is plagued by a million vagaries. How do you measure how smart you are now? How do you measure if you've gotten any smarter? People say IQ is a good measure of intelligence, but it has been proven that we cannot improve IQ through exercise. So that would mean it is impossible for any person to get smarter, no matter how much we try. I believe it is possible, though. I believe IQ actually measures something very different. IQ is more akin to the amount of horsepower on an engine. And we all know that the amount of horsepower on an engine is important, but it's certainly not a given that a car with more horsepower will accelerate faster or achieve a higher top speed than a car with less horsepower. So how then can we measure how smart somebody really is? Well, for the purpose of this book and the tools of extreme learning, let us stick to one clear definition. To my mind, the more accurate and practical answer to the question of how does any man or woman get smarter is this: by learning new skills and getting new perspectives. Think about it. If you go to school but you don't gain any new skills or perspective, has this activity made you smarter? If you read many books but you've not gained any new skills, has it made you smarter? If you solve many puzzles, but they are all similar puzzles for which you don't have to figure out anything new to solve them, have you become smarter? Of course not. Still, it's also true that books and schools and puzzles generally do make us smarter, because they often do provide us with new, actionable skills and perspectives. So I want to define quite clearly that getting smarter is achieved by one way and one way only: by the acquiring of new skills. In other words, by transforming us from a human who has X amount of skills and perspectives into a different human who has X plus 1 amount of skills and perspectives. Learning new perspectives, seeing things from a different angle, is also important, but it only makes us smarter if it actually enables us to do something we couldn't do before. So we are left with a simple, practical, and usable way to measure how smart we are. We simply have to ask ourselves one question: what skills do we master currently? Make a list, and you will know exactly how smart you are. The smartest human is not the one that has read the most books or has attended the most schools. It's not the one who has solved the most crossword puzzles or has the highest IQ. It's the one who, by whatever means, acquired the most skills and who is most proficient in mastering all of them. Naturally, it follows that the speed at which we can personally pick up new skills is of huge importance. Anything we can do to make ourselves faster and better learners is of profound value because it strengthens the root of our greatest power. Learning to learn faster and more effectively is likely the greatest lever we each have to keep improving our lives. It's the one and only real way we get smarter faster. I believe this definition of smart, how many skills do you master, even solves the age-old question of the mystery of the dumb smart person. We all know one, don't we? It's the guy or girl who we know who, when you talk to them, truly doesn't seem very bright or smart, yet somehow they are surprisingly good at lots of stuff. And the reason is, I believe that a lower IQ does not prohibit people from learning new skills. Once you learn one new skill, it becomes a little easier to learn another, and then another, etc. So you can have a person with a relatively low IQ, but with lots of skills, and also a person with a very high IQ with very few skills. It's not your IQ that ultimately determines how smart you are. It's the number of skills you master. This is not to say that people with a higher IQ may not have a much easier time with learning. They often do, but it does not prevent those with lower IQs to do so as well, and that is the key. I would even venture one step further in saying that perhaps one could even extend this analogy to wealth, as there's no treasure as valuable as skills. Once learned, no one can ever take them from you, and you can use them almost anywhere. So the smartest man may well also be the richest man. In our society in general, I think this holds true. Though there are few people who acquire great wealth through luck, by far the majority of truly wealthy people and families have one thing in common. They are smart, in the sense that they possess more skills than the average person. And I believe this is at the root of their success. So make a mental note of it. From now on, when I speak of smart or smarter, I'm not using some vague definition that has something to do with IQ. I'm instead talking specifically about the amount of skills a person has. The smarter you are simply means the more skills you master. So what is extreme learning? Well, the difference between regular learning and extreme learning is that a person with an extreme learning ability will acquire any new skill that he or she wants between 3 and perhaps 25 times faster than the average person. So once you master the principles, you may have to get used to people around you being surprised all the time and saying that one phrase. How the heck did you learn that so fast? And the essence is this: extreme learning can make you extremely good at picking up new skills, supercharging your ability to get smarter faster and faster. Now, I'm not going to bore you with the long history of how I learned and experimented with and intellectualized all this. We all have a few special gifts that we're born with. And I guess mine has always been to learn and teach things a little quicker than most. I started teaching others how to play the saxophone when I played the instrument myself for 3 weeks. I started teaching ocean sailing when I had only 6 hours of sailing experience myself. I was riding shallow reef waves with advanced surfers 14 days after my first day of being on a surfboard. The first time I ever went snowboarding, I was with a group of seasoned veterans with years of experience, and none of them noticed it was my first time on a snowboard. Now, I've started multiple successful businesses in fields where I had very little experience. If you ask my wife what she hates and loves about me the most, she will say it's just annoying to learn something new together with him because he gets good at stuff so fast it just feels a little unfair. But the best and only evidence you need that extreme learning is real and that it can work for almost anybody is you. I urge you, simply try the techniques I lay out in this book. Within a short time, you will prove to yourself that you can learn things far faster than you ever imagined before. I encourage you to think of it as an experiment. Just try the techniques in the book and see what happens.